All right, so I think about I think I was probably around 21. So yeah, it was 1996. I was around 21 and I got approached for the first time from a female officer. And that was wild. That was and I had been hearing stories and I kind of saw things going on and I wondered. I never asked because it wasn't my business. You know, kind of like, there was punitive circumstances for asking people about their business unless you really knew them or in their circle. So my first time, it was an officer. She was probably a little older than me at the time, maybe 24, 25. And it was crazy because, she was asking me, like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you from, what kind of charges do you have? And I thought to myself, like, okay, wow, why does she want to know all of my business? Well, the prison that we were at the time, and this was like in the mid 90s, it was more of a relaxed environment. It was kind of like an annex inside of a fence with when I say that, I mean like the freedom. So, we engaged in conversation. This went on probably for a couple of weeks. And at the time, I didn't know she was like sizing me up, feeling me out, and just trying to get a take of what I was about. I guess what my headspace and my mindset was. And, she was drop dead freaking gorgeous. Like she was fine. And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, I'm in this blue outfit and I'm feeling this small compared to somebody in regular free world clothes. So anyway, we got closer, got closer. So she said, she finally, she bring me food that she would cook, and she was a hell of a cook. I mean, she made some dishes and desserts that were out of this world. Kind of, reminded me of home. And so the area that I worked in, there were a lot of places that you could go and do all kinds of stuff if you really wanted to. Me, I wasn't really into a lot of crazy madness. I didn't do drugs. I wasn't fooling with alcohol because I didn't trust people making that crap at the time. So me and her talked. Then she started telling me about her situation as far as being at home with her husband. Like he didn't ever talk to her. She said I come home and I want to tell him about different things that I was experiencing to get his insight. He was always too busy. Didn't want to hear me talking about things were going on in my job. So I was thinking, okay. I mean, I can only tell you in what little time I've been locked up what I've experienced and what I'm thinking just from seeing things in my family and what I saw, during my incarceration. And she had asked me to go help her one day to go get like a crate of, some juices for some of the guys in a particular unit that I was working in. And when I turned around, bent down, and picked up the box of juice, she kissed me in the mouth, and I was like, wow. Now, mind you, I'm in prison, so it's like fear, confusion, and at the same time, I'm young, and I'm like, damn, I just got kissed by a fine ass chick. So I dropped the box because she opened the door, and down, my tongue went down her throat as far as I could send it. One thing led to another, and she was like, hey, I've been planning this. I'm digging you. I really think you fine. I really think, saying you got it going on for a young guy. You way beyond your years. She said, but I just asked you one thing. And I said, what's that? She said, you can't tell nobody what we're doing because it'll get us in a lot of trouble. And I was like, I got you. And she pulled out the protection, and we did our thing. And man, it was like in my mind, I'm listening for every footstep, every screech of the door, every radio. I want to know how close people were with the radios. I mean, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I had to understand that if we got caught, it was more so damaging to her and her situation than it was to mine. Like I could be considered a champion, of sorts because I was able to accomplish something that a lot of guys just dreamed of doing. And so that went on for a while, went on for a good while. And, as time went on, of course, I'm young. I started developing feelings. And one day she had came to me and told me that she was pregnant. And I'm like, wow. And I said, so is it mine? Is it your husband's? Is it somebody else? If I'm gonna enter with two people. And she said the thing about it is my husband is an older gentleman and he can't have kids. He cannot conceive. And I was like, wow. And so, the gut wrenching part was she said, I'm getting rid of it with this straight face. Like she looked at me and said, well, I'm getting rid of it. Like she had done it before. And I'm confused. And I'm like, what do you mean you're getting rid of it? She said, there's no way. She said, I am a white woman. There's no way I can go home pregnant, have a baby that's biracial. She said, it can't happen. My young mind, I couldn't process it. I'm thinking, you're going to destroy a kid because you foul and you living wrong. I didn't even know that she was married. It was just, she wanted to indulge and, partake in, whatever she wasn't getting at home from her husband and everything, which I understood. But what I didn't understand was you're going to take a child away from this world with the possibility of being born healthy and all this and all that for the sake of you don't want to mess up your marriage that you talk so bad about all the time. I couldn't understand that. Once again, I'm 21. I'm young. My mind is slowly learning and processing the adult world. So it took me time to figure out that, you know, um, her situation was a sense of security. She didn't even have to work. She worked because she wanted to get away from him. But if she would have left him or had that kid, she wouldn't have been able to benefit from him financially. And that's what she hung on to. Like I said, she was a very attractive woman, had a nice body, had it going on, smelled good, looked good, all of that good stuff. And this dude, he was like a 60-something-year-old guy. He was like, 40 years her senior. But with me, I looked at it like that was a second chance for me to be a father because I felt like the first time was taken away from me. I'm like, okay, I took a life. Whatever the powers be, the supreme being, God, Almighty, Allah, Yahweh, however you want to look at, this entity, you took that away from me because I took a life. We're even now. Let me have this one. Even if it's a little part of me running around. So at that time, when you think about it, I was 21. I still had 27 more years to go. So I would have had a 27-year-old kid out there, with the father incarcerated, with this woman who probably would have got divorced from her husband and everything. So it took me a while to understand why she did what she did. And part of me can respect it and understand it. But at that time, I was devastated because, there was a chance once we started going unprotected sex that was going to happen. And that was just one of those things that put me in the mindset of, I get an opportunity to have sex with one of these women again. It's all about me. I'm pleasing me, doing what I do, and, come what may. We get caught, we don't, we don't. But, I wasn't nowhere in the world I was going to go where the opportunity was and not do what I did. So that was wild. And now that I look back at it, it's like, man, I took a lot of chances that I shouldn't have taken. Like they call them penitentiary chances. But that was deep. That was real deep.